Hi, I'm Kresta. President Biden's inaugural address was focused on national unity. After laying out 4 crisis points, COVID, racial justice, climate change, and the post-COVID economy, he proposed his remedy for meeting these crises and healing our nation.
To overcome these challenges, to restore the soul and secure the future of America, requires so much more than words. It requires the most elusive of all things in a democracy: unity. Unity.
Now, this poses a bit of a problem. What's the basis for unity? I mean, what's the creed we can all get behind? What's the flag we can all salute? What's the cause that's the reason for our activism and existence? Well, in our lifetime, we saw the United States as a beacon of freedom in a world of oppression. The Cold War unified the nation, not perfectly. Unity is never perfected. It's always dynamic and growing. It's always reconfiguring and trying to tame the many, out of which comes the one. You tame the pluribus, so out of it you can get the unum. America's sense of unity and national purpose during the Cold War had much to do with a common enemy. It was the free world versus Soviet communism. America was the lead free nation, the land of liberty, the land of opportunity, belief in God, and it was fighting the Soviet Union, land of oppression, coercion, and atheism. The Berlin Wall was the best icon to show the difference. One nation builds walls to keep people in, the other offers political asylum to those who can get over the wall. Remember, the Soviet Union built that wall to keep people in. The Soviet authorities couldn't trust people to be free because they might not want to stay underneath the hammer and sickle. Coercion was what the Soviet Union stood for. Liberty was what the United States stood for. Now, let me stress that even when there is general agreement about a common enemy, we still have lots of internal fighting. America had internal conflicts over race, poverty, and the right use of accumulated wealth. Elections bear this out, right? Perfect unity would mean we wouldn't have had to choose between Carter and Reagan, or Reagan and Mondale, or Bush and Clinton, or Trump and Clinton, or Biden and Trump. Perfect unity would also mean stagnation. Creative conflict is necessary for growth and well-being. But any attempt to unify a people, a nation, a culture, a family, requires a foundation to build on, or some adhesive, some glue to hold things together. Many of those who are most vocal in their support for Joe Biden now, including many Catholics, have adopted a popular creed that you've probably all seen in yard signs and posters. It became popular after last spring and the George Floyd affair. Those who have adopted this creed think it's wonderful because if you disagree with it, you're a Cretan, a barbarian, you're uncouth. They think it's wonderful because no sane or virtuous person could possibly disagree with it. But a creed that no one can disagree with is unnecessary. You don't need to state what everyone already accepts as true. Creeds make statements that are either true or false. Creeds that avoid this don't last because they don't serve much of a purpose. They get shown up as a rhetorical trick to try and convince people that after all, we all believe the same things. Here's the new creed. It starts out like all creeds with "We believe." Black lives matter. Love is love. No human is illegal. Women's rights are human rights. Science is real. Water is life. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Now, this is assumed to be a good foundation for American unity, but it can't be, because the phrases are themselves already eliciting universal agreement. Nobody can disagree with this creed. The truth is, however, this innocent-looking creed masks conflicts that need to be resolved for unity to become a reality. Every article in this creed disguises rather than resolves conflicts. For instance, who can disagree that Black lives matter, or that love is love, or that no human is illegal, or that women's rights are human rights, or science is real, or that water is life, or that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere? No one can disagree with those statements. These phrases are cobbled together to obscure, not to analyze. Take Black Lives Matter, for instance. Nobody disagrees, but we know that historically the phrase was popularized by a far-left organization around the time of Michael Brown's death in Ferguson, Missouri. It was intended as a revolutionary slogan, and the Black Lives Matter organization sought the abolition of the family, and it celebrated the birthdays of Huey Newton, co-founder of the Black Panthers, and Fidel Castro, the revolutionary patriarch of Cuba. The organization has since undergone a makeover to remove its most outrageous and offensive language. But those of us who researched them back then, before the slogan became a cliche, know that this was an organization that, on balance, did not regard the United States as a force for good in the world. In the eyes of its founder, the U.S. was an oppressor nation, not a liberator nation. But by wresting the phrase Black Lives Matter from its original context, we get universal applause. Or how about no human is illegal? Now this is clever. Of course, the immigration issue is in view, but in truth, nobody believes that any human person is an illegal entity. We already all agree that no human is illegal. But human beings do illegal things, like break immigration laws. But this clever phrase tries to end the discussion prematurely by confusing a statement about being with a statement about behavior. No human being is illegal, but human behavior can be illegal. And actually declaring that someone has violated immigration laws is to recognize that they are human beings who make significant moral choices, like obeying the law or not. So again, the phrase has the sweet smell of generosity, but is in fact a stinker. It's absolutely useless at resolving the divisive immigration issues that it masks. How about love is love? Again, who can disagree? But what's in view here is same-sex so-called marriage. Nobody claims that same-sex couples don't experience love or affection or passion for one another. The conflict over same-sex marriage wasn't about love. It was about definition. For humanity's entire history, marriage has been something vowed between a man and a woman, or sometimes more than one woman. Does it serve the common good for a society to drop opposite sex from its definition of marriage? Now, this requires some thinking beyond the romantic sentiments of a greeting card. The spread of Christianity eliminates polygamy. Is that a good thing? If gender is irrelevant to marriage, how about number? But again, love is love dodges all the serious questions regarding how society defines marriage for the common good. The same shiftiness is found in women's rights or human rights. And again, who can disagree? Science is real. Who can disagree? But the truism dodges all the real conflict that emerges when scientific authorities themselves disagree. This creed obscures what it should be stating forthrightly. It tries to gain assent, build unity and agreement by simply ignoring and removing any aspects of the issue over which people profoundly disagree. To get my point, just compare it to a real creed. I believe in God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth. Now, one can disagree with the existence of God, or that he is by nature a father, or that he created the heavens and the earth. Or how about he suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. One can disagree about every phrase in the article of that creed. Real creeds state things that people can disagree over, and those reciting those creeds realize that they may suffer rejection or abuse from those in power who disagree with those creeds. Nobody is going to persecute you for saying, we believe science is real, or women's rights are human rights, or Black Lives Matter, or love is love. President Biden is right to notice how deep are America's divisions these days. But recovering a national unity can't be had by denying the very issues that gave rise to our divisions. This new creed refuses to state its tenets in ways that allow us to debate the truth or falsity of the articles of the creed. If nobody disagrees with a creed, there's no need for a creed, except to put one over on unsuspecting fellow citizens. And that doesn't make for unity. Those who disagree with me, and many do, must understand that the dignity of the human person, from conception to natural death, is the glue that must hold us all together and always remind us that we are our brother's keeper. The dignity of the human person is the foundation upon which we can build a good society. As long as members of the human race are divided, separated from us, as long as they are, in principle, excluded from we the people, it's hard for me to just fit in. I have a complaint. I'm not well adjusted to the American status quo, and I believe that all Catholics should have the same complaint. A good society doesn't arbitrarily consign members of the human race to obsolescence or dispose of them in the rubbish bins of modern freedom. The good society doesn't pit liberty against life, choice against existence. And we cannot find unity as long as our nation permits the brutalizing of an entire segment of humanity. Disagree with me if you'd like, but at least I've said something meaningful. Unless we're making progress in expanding our circle to include the unborn and other neglected members of the human family, we must acknowledge that we are a split nation. Love is love, science is real, Black Lives Matter form a creed that only papers over our all too real conflicts, antagonisms, and disagreements. It is an illusion, and sadly, the illusion of unity is a counterfeit. It isn't just harmless. It is actually an antagonist working against real unity. For Ave Maria Radio, I'm Al Kresta. Thanks for joining me.